Holton Healing Arts and Shaman School. And I'm here today chatting with also another recent Shaman School graduate, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. How you doing?
Hi. Good. I'm doing good.
Awesome. So I wonder if you could share just a little bit about yourself and what drew you to the shamanic path.
Absolutely. So, I'm a clinical social worker and I've been doing that for the last 21 years. And 2 years ago, I lost my job. I was working with active duty military, very high stress, high acuity patients with lots of trauma. And so I was going like 90 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, like every single day. And then brick wall, like slammed right into the brick wall when I lost my job. And it just really kind of shattered who I was. And I woke up the next day and went, yeah, who am I if I'm not that person that shows up every day helping other people work on their stuff? And so I went through a lot of depression and anxiety, trying to figure out, like, what is my path? Who am I? Where do I go? And so in that, I started looking deeper into myself and my own pain and my own trauma, and trying to work through some of the issues that maybe I've experienced in my own life. And with that, I had tried different techniques, modalities, classes, retreats, etc. And after a year of doing several different things, I came across Holton Healing Arts, Shaman School. And I had always sort of been drawn to the word shaman. My interpretation of what shaman meant was healer. That was it, just healer. I didn't know beyond that. So I grew up in New Mexico, and we have 32 Native American pueblos and reservations here in our state. And so my understanding of what a shaman would have been, attached to that, to like a tribe or their culture, and being the healing person energetically as well as physically. And so I always thought that a shaman was an indigenous person, attached to those different tribes, etc. And so when I came across the shaman school, I thought, oh, that's something I've always been drawn to, the idea of that, being a healer. As a therapist, I always was helping people to heal. So when I saw the opportunity, I thought, oh, that's fantastic. Let me try this and see if this fits. It's kind of like a pair of shoes. Like, let me see if these fit me, and do I feel comfortable where I'm at? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what led me to this shamanic path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What kind of things were you hoping to get out of it or discover before you enrolled?
To be really honest, I had no real expectation, honestly, because I didn't know, aside from like what I had, just told you about in my mind, what I believed a shaman was. I didn't really know what shamans did per se, like boots on the ground, hands on sort of thing. Like, I didn't know what their actual thing was. And so I really had no expectation when I started the program. I didn't know if it was going to be like learning skills, if it was going to be more of like self-exploration, if it was going to be both. So I was just kind of open to whatever came. And in my mind, I understood it as this was God leading me down a path that I was supposed to be on. And so I just kind of opened myself to what I need to know, you'll give me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I remember that too, when we met. It was like within the same day, it was like, yes, we're doing it.
Yeah, it was. I think I had gone to your presentation that you do. Was it like a 4-hour or 3-hour, right? And so as soon as it was over, I thought, this is it. I need to figure out a way to come up with my tuition, because I'm all in. Like, I knew in my soul, like, this is where I was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So what kind of things, after going through the program, what kind of things do you feel like this helped you with the most?
Like, honestly, I feel like for me personally, it has been self, not just healing, but it's kind of like a deep dive into my own soul and figuring out, I think as an empath, you always sort of question, like, what are my skills? How do I make them better? What do I need to do? What class should I take next? What blah, blah, blah. And I think for me, I had been doing that for a long time. And so I was just in some regards, I was thinking, oh, this is the next thing I can check off the box, another thing that I can do. But really what ended up happening was I was able to go deeper into myself and understand myself at much deeper layers. Acknowledge things about myself that were painful, that maybe I hid from, and painful in the sense that, they're not the things you want to deal with every day. I mean, they exist, they're there, but you kind of just step back and go, let's just talk about the pretty things. And so for me, I think learning, especially in shaman school, learning about sort of the yin and the yang, the black and the white, right? The light and the dark, that they both hold the same presence and value, and they're both beautiful. They're both equal. The pain and the happiness both are necessary. And so learning to value that within myself, once I was able to go deeper within myself, then understanding that it was okay to embrace it and love that part of me, a part that I had rejected for a long time. Being a therapist, I was much better at trying to take care of everybody else and deflect that. I don't want to look in the mirror. I don't want to see all that stuff. It was much easier than to just take care of everyone else and help them through their pain than it was for me to actually deal with mine. And so I feel like shaman school really helped me to really take a good look in the mirror and not just look, but to accept, like 100% accept. And does that mean that like I'm a completely healed and whole and loving and, peaceful person? No. But do I feel better in my skin? Like hands down. I'm a much more centered, more relaxed, more easygoing, more accepting person of both myself and other people. In my personal life, I'm more tolerant. And I used to be very hot-headed, very fast-paced, and now I'm able to just go within, learn how to step back. So it gave me a lot of things that I really did not anticipate at all. And again, like accepting the painful parts of me as being equal in value. My flaw, what people would call their flaws, the hard parts that we say, oh God, I hate that about myself. Those are the pieces that me personally, I was able to finally say, you know what, they're not flaws. They are parts of me that deserve equal attention. They are what they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of on that note, or segueing a little bit, I wonder if you could share a little bit about what you discovered about your personal gifts or how to use them throughout the course of the program.
So I love that question because I'm thinking day one, when you go, okay, now we're going to, I think we were going to journey or go into a practice with each other. I don't remember which one it was, but whatever it was like, she's asking us to jump off the cliff and I don't know how to jump off the cliff. What am I going to do? And I was just really, I'm not ready. Like, I don't have the skills. I don't know how to do this. This is not something I'm prepared for. And so I really had to literally tell myself, it's okay. Like, I acknowledge anxiety that you're there. I'm going to put you to the side and we're just going to do this. Like, we're just going to go with the flow and we're just going to do this. And so, I think that in terms of learning my skills, it was about trusting myself. It was about don't have the hesitation. You know, you always want to be right. Like when you're reading someone's cards or when you're channeling a message or, you know, whatever you're doing, whether it's a shamanic journey, etc. And so your fear, I think the ego piece, the fear is, what if I get it wrong? What if I say, you know, the grandmother was there and yet their grandmother's still alive, you know, something like that. You know, you worry, oh my gosh, this is not going to be right. And so it was learning how to just trust that whatever it was what it was supposed to be. And even if it didn't resonate for me or for the other person, maybe it would later on. And I just had to trust that. And so I think for me, learning my skills, and this was like an evolution too throughout the program, was learning that I am the presence, and like it's not so much I have a gift, it's about learning who I am and then trusting who I am. So because I noticed that things got stronger. Yeah, things got stronger for me as I went on through the program, because the more I would lean into I don't know. Okay, I don't know. And that's okay. Just go with I don't know. And then, you know, what comes is what's meant to come. And that's okay. Like, even if you don't understand it, Amanda, even if the person you're working with doesn't understand it, just lean into that and allow that to be. And so, like I said, the evolution was that I realized that it wasn't a gift that I had that I could, you know, grow or cultivate. It was something about within me that I had to learn how to trust me, and eventually came to the conclusion that like I am the gift, like the presence of myself is part of the magic. It's part of the healing that I can offer to another person, holding them through, you know, whatever they're going through until they can come to that place where they go, oh, wow, I get it. Like like they're saying, I understand now, like why you said red when I was thinking blue. Oh, I get it now, Amanda, why you said red, you know, because it's not about me getting it right or wrong. That's the part I had to get out of my head. I think I had operated my whole life on things are either right or they're wrong, or they're yes, or they're no, or they're pass, or they're fail. And I had really had to abandon that sort of ego mindset and say there is no right or wrong. Everything is the same thing, right? So I think for me, it wasn't just about a gift. It was learning how to accept myself as being the gift, and then trusting that I could deliver, you know, help the person to be present for what they needed to know, what they needed to hear.
Yeah, great. So I also wonder if there was anything that you got from the program that you didn't expect, or a part of it that surprised you.
Oh my gosh. So many things. So many things. So I'm just going to step right out there and say the biggest and the most painful piece for me is vulnerability. And so I think for me, even though, you know, in my class, I was known as the one who would always step forward, and I was always the one that would go first, and I was always the one that would offer the, you know, the answer to the question or whatever it may be. The reality is that when it really comes down to me being vulnerable and the pain maybe that I carry, you know, deep in my soul, that is the piece where I go, oh no, you know, nobody's going to see that. I don't want to see it, and I don't want anybody else to see it. So I think the most surprising piece for me was I'm thinking I'm going into shaman school to learn things, you know, how to do things. And what, you know, surprised me was it was more about, how do I learn how to cultivate myself? How do I learn to strip away all of the identity things, you know, that I'm a woman, that I have blonde hair, that I, you know, do this for a profession, that I do that I really learn who I am inside, and accept that, you know, this is right. Learning how to love this imperfection, you know, what I've deemed as imperfection, learning how to say, no, this is perfect. Like all these years I've called it imperfection, but it's perfect. And so being fearful of the vulnerability, it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. That was an ego structure that I had put in place, right? And so that was a completely unexpected thing for me. And Shaman School was learning how to go deeper within myself. And, I call it pressure points, find the pressure points, right? And sort of dissect them. Why are they pressure points? What is my beef with this particular thing? And allowing myself to be seen. Really, that's it. Allowing myself to be seen. That was probably the hardest thing for me, was allowing myself to be seen. And the messy, I use messy a lot, at the messiest point of who I am. And that was totally unexpected. I mean, I had no idea that I was going to get messy in front of people, whether it was in class or outside of class. Like that, that's deeply personal to a person, because the ego says it is. We're taught, you only cry in public or in private, or, you don't cry at all in some families. Like, you're supposed to just man up and toughen up and get through it, things like that. And so, allowing other people to see my messy, allowing myself to be messy, in front of others. That was really difficult for me. And really not something that I said, oh yeah, Katie, well, let's sign up for Shaman School. Why don't you just completely deconstruct who I am in this path, and like, let me expose my soul to other humans. Like, I didn't know that's what I was signing on the dotted line. And of course, that's not you, Katie, that did that. But my point is that was an unexpected, I don't know if you want to say benefit or a residual effect for me personally, and the path that I was on in Shaman School.
Can I ask, like, in what ways have you found that has helped you in your everyday life, or
Oh my gosh,
into being
absolutely, if you ask me. Yes. So I used to be very, here's the perfect one. I used to have to be right. I always had to be right. I always had to have the last word. I always had to be right. I always had to prove others wrong. Like, I always had the evidence. I'm going to give you the evidence of how you're wrong and I'm right. And so learning that it's not about me being right and them being wrong. It's about learning my path and they have their path. And so maybe it's not for me to tell other people that they're wrong. Maybe they need to come to that evolution in their path on their own, right? So learning that has changed significantly, because I'm able to pull my energy back and just say, it's okay. Like, it's not for me to help them learn whatever the thing is, they need to learn that on their path. So that's one way that has totally changed me. Another way was I was angry a lot. I was like hot-tempered a lot, impatient with others, but impatient with myself. And I've learned how to be a lot more gentle, both with others, but more importantly with myself. I think we're our own worst critics. We say 10 times the amount of things that are negative to ourselves than anyone else would ever say. And we definitely wouldn't say these things to our friends or our family members, but we have no problem saying them to ourselves, right? And so for me personally, I've learned to talk internal dialogue, talk more gently to myself, be more patient with myself, give myself permission to have a bad day, to not get it right, to make a mistake, to be slower, or to, not accomplish everything that maybe I set out to accomplish. And in the past, that absolutely was not an option. It was either, like I said, black, white, yes, no, pass, fail. And so the benefit I think that I've gleaned from being in Shaman School is complete, I'm not going to say complete. It is a gigantic leap in terms of self-acceptance and knowing yourself. So I truly believe at this point that shaman school wasn't so much for me personally about learning how to do things for other people. It was more about learning how to be me and accept me and feel, more centered in who I am. Yet, did I have confidence before? Did I know my field and my career and what I was? Absolutely. But did I really know who, in a deep soul level, who I was? No. And do I now? Absolutely. Do I know myself 100%? No, because I think we always continue, right, as human beings to discover more and more layers. But do I know myself way better? Oh my gosh, night and day. And do I feel more comfortable where I sit now in my skin? Oh, amazingly different. I mean, that gives me chills telling you that. Yeah. Amazingly different. Yeah, amazingly different. I do. I feel like a different person. Not like you should call me another name, not like that kind of a different person, but just, my whole energy and my whole demeanor feels different to me. It's like, I don't need to rush to the finish line. I don't need to be the one to do this. I don't need to be the one to say this or speak up or do, I've learned that it's perfectly okay and not weak to step back, to be patient, to be kind, to release all the pain, to not carry that. And that was really important because I have been to therapists, growing up in my 20s and to my 30s. I had done things to like heal myself and my own stuff, but it's like you get to a place where you're like, okay, this just doesn't work anymore. I need to find another thing. And then there was like another thing, and I need to find another thing to help, that evolution of what I call shedding skins. And so this was, for me, I felt like this is like sort of not the top of, everything, but I definitely feel like I'm more reaching the top of where I need to be in terms of self-exploration and shedding those skins and that pain. I don't need to carry it around anymore like I used to. Yeah.
So one last quick question. What would you just say to someone who is thinking about doing shaman
Don't
school?
second guess it. Don't second guess it. Do it. Sign up today. First of all, Katy Jo is real. And so that was one of the things that I loved in your presentation that I attended was you're so down to earth and to the point. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you talk very existentially and very theoretically, and I'm like, ooh, it's a little hard to follow you because you are very intelligent and you do talk about some very high level things. But for the most part, you're very down to earth and you're very you get it. You get the struggle, you get what people are going through. And even more so, I think what's important is that this, the definition that I had created in my mind about what a shaman was and the indigenous and all that stuff, you shattered that right off the money for me because not only did you speak to it, but you demonstrated it. You showed that you don't have to be a certain culture or race or, brought up in a certain tradition in order to, have the ability to be in touch with who you are and these skills. And that's what I loved about you and the school is that every time I would have this preconceived idea, that would be shattered for me. And I loved that because it's challenging and it's you don't feel like you're just stuck. Oh my God, another class. Oh my God, we're going to talk about more stuff. It was always interesting and dynamic and made me feel very engaged. Like I said, there were times when it was very existential and I was like, oh my gosh. But for the most part, it's very down to earth and very dynamic and very engaging. And I would tell someone, don't even think twice. I don't regret it. I would do it all over again. And it was worth it. For me personally, I had to go into my retirement to take money out to do the tuition. And I do not regret that. I'm saving twice as much in my retirement right now to make up for that. That's okay. I'm totally okay with that. It's also a tax reduction. I mean, if we really want to talk brass tacks about it, is it, limits my taxes right now, but yeah, totally worth it. And I don't regret it at all. I would say go for it.
Great, thank you. Well, it has been an absolute joy working with you. You are a badass healer
Thank
and a
you.
lot of fun to be around. So it's been a
You
pleasure
are
working
a
with you,
badass
and
healer.
also watching all of the changes that you've made and where you're going now too. Super
Yeah.
exciting.
Thank you so
So
much.
much for taking the time to chat with us today, Amanda.
100%. Thank you, Katie.
Yep. And so that is all for now. If we, I'll have Amanda share some of her links if she wants after this. So if you were interested in getting in touch with her, you can do that as well. And that is all for now.